leap of faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iman.
Tells me you're Flanaverse.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend / my co-host, Devin, and today we're here to give our spoiler-free thoughts on The Midnight Club, which is the latest horror Netflix series adapted for TV by Mike Flanagan, the man himself. The Flanaverse is back.
The Flan Man.
The Flan Man is back and better than ever? Question mark. We'll just have to wait and see. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, happy Taco Tuesday as we are recording here on a Tuesday.
I was debating making tacos tonight, actually.
Were you? I'm not sure what I think I'm going to have a nice salad. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I got to figure out what's in my fridge because half the time I don't know what's in there. But what have you been watching lately? You've been watching some scary, some spooky season goodness. You know, it's October. You know, we're talking about some Midnight Club. Are you getting in the mood?
Yeah, this past week's pretty much just been dedicated to getting Midnight Club in. It's a full 10 episode series for those not in the know, all around an hour long, 50 minutes to an hour around there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I started Dahmer, haven't really dived much into that one yet, but it's on the list.
I feel it. So as for me, I'm not going to lie. I think I've been going like all out. I'm just leaning into it this year. This past weekend, actually this past weekend, I was getting myself ready for Halloween for Halloween Ends. So I watched the 2018 Halloween. Then I unfortunately had to watch Halloween
Evil
Kills.
Evil ends. Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight. Yeah. So I wanted to watch the extended edition. Like maybe it makes it a little bit better. Much like BVS, like Batman v Superman, the extended cut makes it a little bit better, but not that much. But I rented the first one because I couldn't find it on any streaming services. It was like a few bucks, but the extended release is only available to purchase. And I was like, well, I don't like Halloween, at least this Halloween, that much to like go for that extra. I don't even know how much longer the extended cut is. So Halloween Kills is on HBO Max. So I watched it there. I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, so I've been watching that. I watched that on, what was it, Saturday, and then Sunday. I just went all flan all the time. I went and I watched Hush for the first time.
That's a good one.
Very, very good. I mean, just a classic, perfect slasher, type tale with a very interesting twist. And I love how, everything happened. You don't leave the house. Really. And then I watched Gerald's Game as well.
I never got into watching that one.
I would definitely watch it. It freaks me out, man. Like Mike Flanagan knows how to, like, at least for me, he really knows, like, he doesn't use like those cheap like jump scares unless he's like making fun of it or something. But like, my gosh, this man gets me every time. But I think it really is more of the storytelling, the series that he is able to, create on his own, his original series or adapted series. And I think that's what's really gravitating him towards probably one of my favorite horror directors out there, up there with Jordan Peele for sure. But yeah, I've just been leaning into it. I'm going to watch some Werewolf by Night tonight. And I also started Batman The Long Halloween. The first part is kind of a snoozer. It's just a lot of setup. And then part 2 is like the payoff. So eventually I'll get through that. But I think I'm actually going to start Bly Manor soon as well. Got to get that in the spooky season.
Got to get all of them in.
Yeah. There's a few other movies of Mike Flanagan's on Netflix. One of them is called like the Ouija board or something. And then there's another one.
I think his first one was called the Oculus.
I think that's what it was called.
It had Karen Gillian in it.
Did it really?
Yeah, way back when. 2013.
Way back when.
Karen
Gillian. Man. So that's before Hush, because Hush came out in like 2016, 17, something like that. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely, I do want to watch those too. I'm taking a little bit of a detour. I mean, really just staying within his filmography. But yeah, definitely going to start Bly Manor because I would like to finish that so I can officially say I've seen all of his series. It's the only one I'm missing so far. So as I mentioned before, we are here today to talk about The Midnight Club. This is going to be our spoiler-free review of the series. And by the time you're listening to this, it's already out. It's already on Netflix. Go have a blast. Get yourself in the spooky season mood. We're going to be giving our initial reactions of the series, and then we're going to be taking a little bit of a detour to our Mike Flanagan series ranked, where this actually ranks for us within his, I guess you could still call it a filmography. I wasn't sure if there was a different term for it for TV, but then we're going to give our final thoughts about The Midnight Club, and then we're going to give our ratings, and then it's time to spoof on out of here. So, Devin, are you ready to head to Brightcliffe? I feel like you're not well. I feel like you need some reflection.
I do not want that currently. No.
I don't think anyone does.
It's like what's the opposite of coming of age? It's like losing of age. That's what this is.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing on my way home from work today, how to properly identify the series. But we're going to get into that and more. So we'll be right back after this introduction to The Midnight Club.
Here at Brightcliffe Hospice, we are the authors of our own stories. Brightcliffe offers a safe and warm atmosphere for our patients to enjoy their final chapter together. We create with you your last chapter. We look forward to helping you write your own ending.
And we are back. You just heard a little snippet of The Midnight Club. We hope you guys are having a fantastic spooky season 2022 so far. I gotta say, I think it's a really big year for horror all around. I mean, I'm still a scaredy cat when it comes to certain things. Still haven't seen Smile, but we'll see. We'll see. That is like I've said, I can lean into horror, but there are some things I will not touch.
But just and I feel like innocent smiles, nothing to be worried about.
But like that's gonna ruin Smiles for me.
I think they should have hired people to wait outside the theater, just smiling at certain theaters.
That would not go well at all. Like there's just no way.
Horror.
That would be very, very peak horror. I did see it. I don't know if it was the girl from the poster, but someone was doing the whole smile thing at like a football game, and someone was like recording them. It was super creepy. But I don't know. We shall see. But as we mentioned before, this is our spoiler-free review of The Midnight Club. Again, this is now streaming on Netflix as of this recording. So I'm going to pass it over to Devin so we can give his initial reactions to The Midnight Club. Then I'll give mine, and then we'll kind of just go from there. So, Devin, what were your thoughts about The Midnight Club?
I'm curious as if anybody that's on Netflix is going to be scrolling around and see Midnight Club and they're expecting like that old racing game. Remember that one? I think it was Rockstar. They made that, but like
it's like Midnight Club 3,
there's
the
a few
dub
of them
edition.
In the 360 and PS3 days.
Oh, actually, no, PS2. I think it might have been on PS2 as well. I can't remember, but man, those are the days. I'm sorry. Continue.
Just like that Need for Speed movie that was very unfortunate. But we'll move on. Rest in peace to that attempt. Sorry to Aaron Paul and Kid Cudi and everyone involved. But Midnight Club, the Midnight Club. That's the differentiator. This is the Midnight Club. For me, this one just didn't really seem to grab me as much as his other series did. I didn't get like wrapped up into the world as much as it did for the other ones. It felt kind of goosebumpsy, like kind of felt a little bit like scary stories to tell in the dark, different kind of young adult horror books like that we've had in the past. The stories within the story are where it kind of lost me. It felt kind of uneven, like the different stories that they're telling at the Midnight Club specifically, because some of them felt really interesting and really well made, but then some of them really just seemed to fall flat for me, and they took up really big chunks of the episodes too, which is definitely an interesting choice they made. It is a very, very unique premise as far as having this kind of retreat where people can go to that are currently terminally ill and just kind of live out the rest of their days, especially within the age range that they are. I wonder if there actually are places like this, because it's kind of depressing to think about. Like you're still young and you have so much left, but you're going to this place to just kind of let it all go. Like that really hits deep. What did you think?
Yeah. So for me, there are parts that I agree with your initial reactions. Other parts, not so much. I will agree that I do not think this is Mike Flanagan's strongest work altogether. I do agree that the premise is very interesting because, like you said, you have these terminal ill children. And like, as we were mentioning before, we can't really call this a coming of age. Like it is, but it isn't at the
going
same time.
Of age.
Because something of that nature. And I wanted to shout out some of the creators here. Of course, this is created by Mike Flanagan and Leah Fong as well. I actually kind of forgot to throw that in there, but we're doing it now. And also stars Iman, Benson, Igby, Rigney.
What a name.
Ruth Codd. Yeah, I like that a lot. Ruth Codd, Annarah Shepherd. She was also in Midnight Mass.
Yeah, there's a few
in the wheelchair.
Few of the returning cast members from the other stuff. Zach Gilford. Who else?
And then Samantha Sloyan.
And Raul Coley briefly.
Yeah.
Henry Thomas.
Yeah, very briefly. Yeah, very briefly for him as well. But as I was saying before, I did enjoy this. I felt like I feel like there's going to be a season 2 of this because it's just the way that it ends. It's like that can't be it. But that's just how I feel because Mike Flanagan's other work, when it comes to Midnight Mass or Haunting of Hill House, I can't really say anything for Bly Manor because I've not seen it yet, as I mentioned earlier. But from what I've seen from Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass, this doesn't come close. I think it is a great entry-level Mike Flanagan work of art. Like you said, Devin, it definitely reminded me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It reminded me that movie should have been a series, which I feel like this is what the Midnight Club is. I did enjoy these stories within the stories when they're, when the Midnight Club is actually happening in real time. I don't think any of the stories necessarily fell flat for me. I felt like the stories were obviously they're telling these stories, but it is obviously about them. There's some truth to those stories, but not everything, kind of maybe just the characters themselves. Dusty, I don't know. When it comes to Igby Rigney's character, Kevin, I'm not entirely sure, but because I highly doubt that Kevin was a serial killer, but I think he did a fantastic job in this series. He's at first I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of like the stoner character, but I'm like, no, he gave a lot of great insight between him and Alanka, who is played by Iman Benson. I think she did a great job as well. Yeah, for sure. But there's something about, even if this isn't the best Flanagan of the Flanaverse series that we've gotten thus far. Again, I've not seen Blind Manor yet, so I can't really put that on the board. But there was something about it that I think it was part of the story because, they're trying to figure out, these weird things are happening at Brightcliffe. This, like you said, it is a hospice for younger children or just teenagers, however you want to put it. But it's kind of like, even Amesh's character. I don't want to get into any specifics, but he's a really big gamer and he is terminally ill. And there may or may not be certain games or, certain consoles he's going to be able to play because this does take place within, I think, early to mid 90s altogether, which was really, really nice. Just a nice touch for us since we're 90s kids. But there's something about this story that made it like hauntingly beautiful, excuse me. But it's also like bittersweet because, they're trying to learn how to, these kids are trying to learn how to live with each other. But at the same time, they are there to, say their final goodbyes. And it must be really tough because it's like, they have things such as like family day, people come in to visit and whatnot, but it's really just the children there and the staff by themselves. And I can't say that there's not like a real villain, kind of, sort of, almost more of like an obstacle or like a distraction. Because I don't believe that this is just a limited series because, like I said, the ending, there's just no way. That's all I have to say. But overall, I enjoyed it, but it's no Midnight Mass and it's no Haunting of Hill House. But there's something special here that's kept me watching through and through. A few disappointments with some of the mysteries surrounding the house, but I think the character development and just the interactions we get with these children made up for some of those shortcomings, but I'm not entirely, it's, like I said, I've had a little bit of time to think about it, but I did enjoy, great jump scares. There are times where Mike Flanagan really knows how to like put you in that mood where it's like, man, something is either going to pop up or it's so unexpected. It's never when you expect it whatsoever. And every time I'm like, I'm glued to the TV because I know this man is going to do something. But even though it's not as scary, like you said, Devin, it reminds me of 13 Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It is more of like a thriller, not more horror. There are a few jump scares here and there, but I feel like there are a few things in this season that are left unexplained. And that is why I feel like this might be getting a second season. But I don't really know because there are this type of
story just sets itself up for multiple seasons. You kind of can just have, as depressing as it is, you can just have kids funneling in as the other ones just kind of die off after however long they last. But I don't think it was bad by any means. Like I said before, it just didn't really connect with me. I also think there's a bit of an issue here with the kind of the curse of like the Netflix like mid-level budget for this series, where the CGI got pretty rough at times, at least from what I was seeing. Like some of the imagery that they went with kind of reminded me of Umbrella Academy, where it's like they just didn't really give the full effort into making it look as good as it could have been, it felt like, and that kind of takes me out of it at some points. But I did enjoy the characters for the most part. Some of them are more fleshed out than others. Some of them really took a back seat. Especially, it felt like the staff especially kind of takes a back seat, and then a couple of the actual Midnight Club did as well. But I definitely liked the main characters and what they went through overall.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I feel like there's something left to be desired. Like you said, I feel like for the most part, this series really does try to give each character, at least the children, a arc of their own. Some may have more complete arcs than others, but there is each episode, when the Midnight Club comes together, a different child tells, a ghost story, essentially. There may be a few 2-parters, 3-parters thrown in there between some of the characters, but I feel like that was a way to introduce who these characters are, or at least where they came from when it came to their upbringing as children. But obviously this is more of a, scary stories to, create ghosts in a way. But I do agree that there are a few characters within the children that kind of get pushed to the wayside. I'm thinking maybe like 1 or 2 for sure. But I will say overall, the kids did a great job, but the staff was a little bit less to be desired. Like you said, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with them, but cause like you knew that they were there, like in this Brightcliffe Hospice, but it's like they would only show up during convenient times.
Yeah. They were very absent.
But yeah. But again, that's just kind of how the horror, coming of age, quote unquote, coming of age stories are. Like even in Stranger Things, as the series has gone on for Stranger Things, we see less and less of adults. It's the only adults we really see in Stranger Things right now is Hopper and Joyce. And oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The Russians and the other guy, Murray.
I count him as part of the Russians.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But yeah, I feel like that's just how, horror, teenage horror or like coming of age horror, like series or movies are, where the adults usually are just more absent. But, like Mike Flanagan likes to do, he likes to, reintroduce or repurpose, use a lot of the same actors in his past movies or series and, find a place for them within each, within each story. I feel like Samantha Sloyan, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, Sloyan. Yeah. I think, she always does a great job.
She was amazing in Midnight Mass.
Oh my gosh, I know. My gosh, it's fantastic. But actually, speaking of Midnight Mass, let's actually get into our next segment here because we're going to be here all day. I hope we just keep talking about this. But to move away from our initial reactions really quick, Devin, we're just going to play a little bit of a game. Actually, I'm more curious about what you think. We're just going to do a little Mike Flanagan series ranked, if you will, because this is the 4th series from his filmography.
5th one coming soon, I think.
Yes, the
House of Usher.
Yeah, the Fall of the House. That's gonna be his 5th one. I'm very excited for that as
Mark
well.
Hamill
I don't know when
is in that one.
Is he? Mark Hamill,
along with all the other usuals.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I love directors who work with the same actors and actresses. It's much like Martin Scorsese's been working with the same actors that he's been working with forever, especially Robert De Niro. And even with Quentin Tarantino, you know, sometimes you just get actors and actresses and a director, like a relationship where they're just a joy to work for. And it's like, why wouldn't you, you know, be a part of their project? It's work for you. It's work for them. Everybody gets paid. There we go. But Devin, I've actually been wanted to ask you this for a while. What is your series ranked for the Flanaverse, the Mike Flanaverse?
Flan man. My series ranked for the Michael Flanaverse. At the top, it's Haunting of Hill House. It's the OG. It's the one that started it all. It's the one that blew me away, to be honest, when I first watched it, because I'd really just never seen anything in the horror genre that was such a character study. Like, that was just the dialogue and the characters was something I've never seen before, and it kind of blew me away back then. But then after that, I go Midnight Mass, which was also amazing. Definitely up there. Just unforgettable performances. Can't believe it didn't get any like award hype or any love, really.
Honestly, I'm very pissed that it didn't. I'm like, because it came out last year, because we reviewed it here on the show. If you want to listen to our thoughts about Midnight Mass, definitely go. You might have to scroll through a few episodes, but it's there. I remember that. It is there. But yeah, it came out last year. No love from the Emmys whatsoever. I think the Emmys and the Oscars have a horror problem.
Yeah, they usually do. It's just kind of the stigma that horror has, where it's very tough for them to break through. Jordan Peele is the only one that's really seeming to be able to break through recently with the Oscars, just kind of winning for original screenplay, for Get Out and whatnot. But yeah, I think for Midnight Mass, it was just such a snub for trying to find his name.
You're the preacher?
Hamish Linklater, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was just unbelievable. But after that, I would go with Bly Manor. Bly Manor to me felt kind of like it was similar to House of Haunting Hill, just a different time period.
House of Haunting Hill?
Yeah, Haunting of Hill House. I feel like that's also a thing too. House of Haunting Hill. Let's look it up.
I was like,
it's a board game.
Something else?
Oh, it's a movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's fun.
Maybe.
I was like, what is House of Haunting Hill? I think Silent Hill, maybe, but hey, that's just me.
But yeah, I'd have Bly Manor third, and then I'd put Midnight Club fourth.
Okay, fair enough. So for me, as I mentioned before, I haven't seen Bly Manor yet, and I know it's a sin before the Flanaverse itself, but I will have to actually just take it out of the equation. I can't even rank it if I haven't seen it. For me, it would be, I'll start from number three. Number three right now would be the Midnight Club. We'll see if that changes after I watch Bly Manor, because I'm very excited for it. You know, all the British in it. It's very, very British heavy, and Devin knows how much I love the Brits, so I'm very, very excited for that. Man, there's something about Midnight Mass and that being a passion project for Mike Flanagan, and it's actually very hard for me to say if Haunting of Hill House or Midnight Mass is better, because I enjoy them both, because yes, they have the horror elements, but they tell real stories here. And Midnight Mass really tackles into the theme of death and what do you think happens after we die. But Haunting of Hill House had that family aspect.
That family, man.
Where
the funeral episode. Yeah. I will never get over the funeral episode.
Dude. When I was watching Haunting of Hill House for the first time, I was blown away because the storytelling was fantastic. Probably one of the best jump scares out of any horror series or film I've ever seen. Because if you know, you know, I literally almost like I yelled out because I did not expect that to happen.
They're just on a nice car ride, just talking.
My God. But there was no build up to it. It just happens. And I was like, I was very, very just wow, like startled. I get something else. I don't know. It was very that was fear striking. If there was any time for someone to like pee their pants, it would have been in that moment. I was So I think, man, oh man, this is tough. This is so tough. I want to say Haunting of Hill House is number 2. But it's more of like a 1A, 1B kind of thing for me because, I mean, I would gladly watch both again. I wouldn't say, oh, well, you know, that's whatever, because they're both amazing in their own way. They tackle different themes.
I think they're in their own tier at the top, those two. Yeah,
it's really tough. So, I mean, if I had to rank them, I guess it would be Hill House as like 1A, 1B, and then Midnight Mass as 1A, I guess you could say. So but yeah, it's so tough. Again, I haven't seen Blind Manor just yet. Hopefully I will soon. Maybe I can do a quick little review of it or something. We'll just have to wait, or, you know, just keep my thoughts to myself
some Victoria
until
Pedretti in your life.
I know, right? Oh man. Man, I mean, like I said, I'm leaning into the spooky season. So you got to just lean into it and have a good time. But let's get into our final thoughts here. Devin, did you have any final thoughts about the Midnight Club? And then we'll get into our ratings. Actually, just give your final thoughts and then your ratings. I'll do the same. And then we'll close out here.
I guess I have a final thought exercise. Imagine if we had a crossover of the Midnight Club and Fear Street. Some 90s fest.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh.
Or imagine if Mike Flanagan did Fear Street. Like I did like Fear Street, but imagine the levels it could have reached.
Man, oh man. But Fear Street was so good in its own right. And I'm hoping we get more. But oh man, that would be fantastic. Just give me the teenagers, the horror, just everything. Thank you for reminding me, because I do have to rewatch Fear Street before the month is over.
Yeah, as far as ratings go, I'm trying to think of what I would have given the other 3. I don't remember what I gave Midnight Mass, but it had to have been high. Same thing with Haunting of Hill House. I'd probably go with like a 68. Like I said, it didn't really grab me. It didn't like grab my attention like the other ones did. It didn't bring me in and like suck me into the world like the other ones did. But I still think it was like well made overall, and it still has the classic just Flanagan charm and overall just character development that you expect to see.
So for my final thoughts really quick, I do agree. Well, when you say that, you know, the world did not suck me in as much as I was hoping it would, but it does have that Flanagan, that shine. Like, you know, this is a Mike Flanagan project, along with Leah Fong as well, because she is also a creator on the show. But you can really tell, like you said, the story is there. The storytelling is there. There are great aspects about the show. I think everyone should watch it. You know, don't watch 13 Stories to Tell in the Dark, because if you're looking for something like that, you might as well just watch Midnight Club.
That was a snoozer of a movie.
It was. I watched it. I think it was first day of fall, September 22nd. And I was like, oh, this is it. For some reason, I thought it was a series. I'm like, oh, that's right. Devin did say he wished it was a series, but this is like if 13 Stories to Tell in the Dark, or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, was in a series format. It is fantastic. A lot of great characters, like Devin said. It has that Flanagan charm. It has that Flanagan, that screenwriting is all there. There are characters that you do get attached to. You may laugh, you may cry, you'll definitely cry, but it is a very, it's bittersweet. It's melancholy, really. That's probably the best adjective I can use to describe it. But as far as my rating goes, I would probably give it I'd give it like a 75 out of 100. Like I said before, it's no Midnight Mass and it's no Haunting of Hill House, but it is a solid story. And like I said, I don't think this story is over. at all because Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb have this listed as possibly continuing. It says 2022-present. So I don't know what that means, but I'm just saying, the way that it ends, I don't think this is your standard Mike Flanagan limited series, because I don't even think it was marketed as a limited series. And that's another thing really quick.
Has it even been marketed? I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, for the marketing for the show has been terrible. I wish that they were able to push this farther along, because I only started seeing marketing for this, 7 days before. So it was really around September 30th, this past Friday. Around that time is when they started pushing it. But Netflix has like the worst marketing problem because they pump out so much stuff. And even though, we enjoy it, but it's not his best work, it's still a Mike Flanagan property.
It should be like a yearly Halloween event. Like they should be punching it really up should. As like their yearly, because they have been yearly for the most part so far, I think.
Yeah, because they also, I'm not sure if you saw, but they actually dubbed the Flanaverse. Like it's its own little subcategory on Netflix, and they started pushing that. As soon as October 1st hit, they had this montage of, Mike Flanagan's films and his TV series. They're like, oh, it's spooky season. Go watch the Flanaverse, and so I think that was cool, but it's like, this should have happened before. Like we got a new poster on October 3rd starring a movie with Lindsay Lohan. That's a Christmas movie. That was genius marketing. Do more stuff like that for your spooky season stuff, for your Mike Flanagans out there, your Guillermo del Toro's out there as well, because this should have been marketed better than what it's being marketed. Not 7 days before it drops on Netflix, because I hope it doesn't get buried. Luckily, Umbrella Academy season 3 did not, because it is getting a 4th season. But I hope this doesn't get buried, and I think there's going to be a season 2. That's all I'm going to say. So that concludes our spoiler-free review of The Midnight Club. So if you like what you heard here on today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice, and make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it may be. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And what is coming up next on our podcast, you might ask? So we're going to be covering Marvel Studios' Werewolf by Night. Actually, of this recording should also be out on October 7th. So that's another thing you can watch this weekend. There you go. We're also in the works of doing maybe some little different on the channel. The podcast, the show, where we might be getting another a movie draft, a horror draft going here with a few of our a few listeners here of the show. So very, very excited for that. And also, we might cover Smile. I don't know. It depends on how much of a chicken I am, if I'm going to go see it this weekend or not. But I don't know. We shall see. But what is out right now that you can listen to our show? We have our Avatar: The Last Airbender series revisited, book 1, 2, and 3 that are all out on the podcast for you guys to listen to, as well as our House of the Dragons episode 1 through 7, all spoiler-free episodes are out on the podcast for people to listen to, as well as our She-Hulk episodes 1 through 7. We only got 2 more episodes of She-Hulk, man. 3 more of House of the Dragon. It's going to be bittersweet when all that ends. But those are just a few things that we've been covering recently for everyone to go ahead and listen to, check out. We've been so busy with a lot of things, and it's only going to get crazier, but we're going to try to get these reviews out for you guys because we love you guys and we hope you guys are enjoying our content. And with all of that said, we hope you guys have a great day and we'll see you guys next time. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.